Are you happy? It is such a simple question, but sometimes it's neither easy nor comfortable to answer because it challenges us to see where we truly are. Of course, it can be as shallow as not yet before we have morning coffee, and yes, after we have fresh morning coffee. But for me, most of the time, the question makes me pause and think for a while before I answer the question. And even after I answer, sometimes it lingers around for a while. Am I happy? Yes. Then why am I happy? No. Then why am I not? It really reveals our vulnerable and raw desire inside us. I would call it drive. So what makes you happy? In other words, what drives your life? It all depends on context of the time and space and the traits and personality of the person as well. So when I was in initial formation as a Franciscan, as a part of experiencing a radical itinerary lifestyle, we were asked to travel without money for 2 weeks. So I was dropped at a remote province and had to travel back to the formation house. It wasn't easy at all. It wasn't fun either. So I had to ask for food, ask for a ride, which was mostly okay. But the most difficult part was finding a place to stay overnight. I still remember a minister at a small local Protestant church allowed me to sleep at a small room next to their worship hall. And surprisingly, although I was Catholic, I had no luck with Catholic Church. It was after I spent a few nights outside a bench or at a 24-hour open college library. So I could not ask more, having a sound sleep with 4 walls under a roof. So we all have this essential drive for survival. Eat well, sleep well, and have a good bowel movement. That was the sign of having a good vocation at a religious community. However, as a human being, we also have a drive for thriving. We want to learn, we want to indulge ourselves with beautiful things. We want to be socially appraised. We want to pursue our own authenticity. Assuming all these drives are met, would you be able to say, yes, I am happy? Yes, before we jump into the answer, I would like to invite you to today's gospel passage in a different translation. Happy those who know they are spiritually poor. People who are not trapped in their ego. Happy are those who mourn. People who are close to the suffering ones. Happy are those who are humble. People who put themselves under others' feet. Happy are those whose greatest desire is to do what God requires. People who serve for others. Happy are those who are merciful to others. People who are kind and tender before others' fault and mistakes. Happy are the pure in heart. People who do not see others as an object of their desire. Happy are those who work for the peace. People who always prepare rooms for the weak, for the marginalized. Happy are those who are persecuted because they do what God requires. People who stand with the oppressed and the minors. We all know so well about this passage. But when we reflect this passage in relation to our own personal happiness, it leaves us more doubt than conviction. It all sounds good, but it does not come across as a drive, desire, but as a command. I agree that I should be more like what Jesus said, but I don't feel like I really want to be honest. In this regard, Christian life would be just more like putting efforts to follow the commandments against our own nature, while hoping one day it will be all rewarded based on the record in God's hands. But can it be possible? I am happy because I care about other people than myself? Or I'm happy because I put effort for common goods? Or I'm happy because I can emphasize with other people? Can a Christian life be a source of happiness rather than a self-negating, self-sacrificing practice? There's a famous line from a Korean essay. My mom's favorite part of grilled mackerel was head. You don't know what I'm talking about. So Korea has gone through rapid economic development over the decades since the Korean War. During the time in 70s, 80s, 90s, money-wise, things were pretty tight at many households. So for protein resources, fish was preferred to meat since it was cheaper, as we can imagine. And even so, they could rarely have enough. So the writer who grew up under a single mom recollects, once in a week or so, my mom bought mackerel and grilled it. So when the daily meal was served plain with veggies and rice. So when we smell the fish grilling, my sister and I were excited. My mom always filleted the fish and watched me and my sister eating, and she smiled. Whenever I asked, "Why aren't you eating, Mom?" she always said, "I will eat later. I like the head of the fish. You don't know how delicious it is." Then she finished the fish after she gave all fillet to us. It was until I got married and having my own children that I realized she was not telling the truth when she said her favorite part of grilled mackerel was head. Maybe it was mackerel or something else, but it was commonly experienced anecdotes by many Koreans at that time, including myself. I don't know how this story would be received in a different culture here, at a different time now. It may sound like a cliche, which glamorizes motherhood, forces stereotypical role on being a mother or a father. But one thing is for sure. We have become who we are upon someone's sacrificial love. We grew up on love and care of someone who put our need first before theirs. It can be our grandparents, or parents, or friends, teacher, or neighbor. Or if we were not so fortunate to have that experience, here is Christ, who is eager to give his own body, his love telling us, my love is for you. I lay down my life for you, and I will be with you till the end. So eat and drink and grow within me. In being fed and being held by selfless love, we bear happiness. But I also would like to remind that it was also a moment of happiness for the ones who gave the love for others. When I was coming to Canada, my mom wrote me a letter, as she did many times in the past, saying, James, you know, you've been a blessing for me, a true gift from God. You brought true happiness to me past 47 years. So you know how old I am. And I give you my blessing as you take a new journey, searching for your own happiness. And now that I'm thinking of what she said in this light, her blessing was not just for me to have security, enjoy abundance of life, doing whatever I want. Her blessing is for me to continue this journey to become love, to share the fillet of fish to the people who are hungry, who are alone, and who are lost. As much as I'm grateful for what I have received, it would be a great joy and blessing to continue that feast for others and with others. That is what drives me, and I know I will find happiness on the way, not at the end. As we encounter God's presence, who are here to feed us, to make us new, to connect us whole, let us happily rejoice God's love here and now, and let the Holy Spirit grow us into love, so that we ourselves will find true happiness in our loving and serving others.